Ikra Shadiki the Usurper versus God Eternal Oketra. That is a terrible hand. That is a much better hand. Let's see if we can make our opponent scoop really, really quickly. Oh, what do we get rid of there? I think it has to be Restoration Angel. Or does it? Let's get rid of the Benelish Marshal, because Restoration Angel can maybe protect God Eternal Oketra. Now let's see if they scoop to some really fast mana. Not yet. You're going up in my estimations ever so slightly. Ikra Shadiki is a 5-mana Golgari 3/7 with Menace. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you gain life equal to the creature's toughness. And it has partner, but there are no partners in 1 versus 1 commander. Let's get down Windbrisk Heights. We can hide a card under that with Hideaway. I think I want half a chance of drawing into Lightning Greaves, so let's put Thalia under there. Don't really care about putting Thalia under there, to be honest, but let's go for Smothering Tithe and try and get ourselves into even more mana. I think it's definitely God Eternal Oketra next turn. A double strike 3/6 for 5 mana. Whenever we cast a creature spell, we get a 4/4 black zombie creature token with Vigilance. And this is something I've been meaning to bring up actually. I hit 1,000 subscribers a few days ago as of the time of this recording. Pernicious Deed I don't like, no wonder they didn't scoop. Get down God Eternal Oketra as soon as we possibly can. And then we'll go for a Tithe. Yeah, we can go for Tithe now because our opponent does control more lands than us, so we will get 2 planes instead of just 1. And then we'll be able to play that and pass over to our opponent. Yeah, as of a few days ago, I hit 1,000 subscribers on this channel. That is 1,000 subscribers within 8 months of this channel's existence, and don't mean to toot my own horn, but I think that's pretty damn good, especially considering what a niche area of the internet this is. It's Magic the Gathering, which is niche, then it's Magic Online, which is niche, then it's Commander, which is an even smaller audience, and then it tends to be 1 versus 1, which is even smaller than that. So I'd like to thank you all very much for your continued support. It's very humbling. Now then, is our opponent going to use Pernicious Deed to get rid of all of the stuff in play here? Okay, I think we're going to hold up Stonecloaker here. Let's just go in at our opponent with the God Eternal Oketra. Start getting some commander damage in there. If they block with the Dark Confidant, yeah, that tells me they're definitely going for Pernicious Deed. So we hold up the Stonecloaker to bounce our Oketra back to our hand to keep the commander cost down there, because we are going to lose a lot of mana to this Pernicious Deed. And the thing that I meant to mention is that I had the idea of maybe doing a live stream in celebration of 1,000 subscribers, and someone mentioned it to me in Jolt's Discord. Yep, gonna wipe the board of everything with Pernicious Deed, so let's go for the Stonecloaker. And we'll get a zombie that's about to die. The Stonecloaker will come in and we can bounce one of our creatures. We can also exile that Pernicious Deed. I think I would quite like to get rid of. A live stream in which my original idea was to just play Magic Online and hang out and chat to each other. But an individual noted that I want to make a Carador Ghost Chieftain deck, Zombie Tribal, just because God Eternal Oketra could be in the 99. It's pretty much the only reason behind that. Oh, and exiling our graveyard. Yeah, so it was suggested to me that we could do a live stream of some kind and then maybe make a deck together. I don't know what everyone thinks about that, or if people would be up for it or not, so be sure to let me know. It might take a few weeks to get going and work out what the best time of day is for everybody and all that type of thing, but I think that's something that would be of interest to some people, maybe. live streams tend to be pretty popular. I don't really watch them, I'm not particularly into them myself, but if other people are, if my audience here is, then there's no reason for me not to do it, really. 6 cards in Ikra's hand, and they've gotten down a tireless tracker for potentially even more card draw. How about we get into Monastery Mentor? We'll get ourselves a free zombie with that. And going for Field of Ruin to get rid of Nykthos. Well, that will get us into an untapped Plains, which actually means we can do more this turn. Also gets our opponent into another land. Field of Ruin is a land that can destroy another land, but it also replaces both the lands with a basic. We're going to get some monk tokens now because we can go in for Mind Stone, followed by Honour of the Pure. And every time we cast a non-creature spell, Monastery Mentor gives us a monk. And those monks are white, so they'll get buffed by Honour of the Pure. The only problem here is that we are dumping our hand onto the board, so we really have to try and get a win out as soon as we possibly can. Cracking a clue token to put a plus counter onto Tireless Tracker. And we'll go in at our opponent. I doubt they're going to block here, but we will get... No, they are going to block. That is fine. They might have gotten into a board wipe then in that case. Yep, there's an Ugin. That's a board wipe. This might just be board wipe tribal. Oh, and did someone start watching the video? How very dare you. Nope, nope. Reel it back. We'll reel it back. I was told by the Magic Online Twitter account that the issue is if someone is watching a video and then plays a Planeswalker, that causes this bug. Apparently it's just if someone plays a Planeswalker, because as soon as our opponent cast that Ugin, it crashed the entire game. But I've also had tonight people starting to watch a game, and it causes the whole game to crash as well. So I don't think it's a combination of the two that causes the client to crash. I think they're two individual cases that each cause the game to crash. Anyway, we're obviously going to have to call this game a day and get crack-a-lacking with another one. Well, I don't fancy our odds here. God Eternal Oketra versus Yidris Maelstrom Wielder. Do we go for land tax on turn 1? Yeah, I think we do because we're on the draw, so we will likely have our opponent have more lands in play than us. And right now we have no turn 2 play, so we'll go for Emeria the Sky Ruin the turn after. And if we last long enough, we might actually make use of Emeria if we're going to get into a lot of planes this game. God Eternal Oketra is a 5-mana 3/6 zombie god with double strike. Whenever we cast a creature spell, we get a 4/4 black zombie token with vigilance. Yidris Maelstrom Wielder is 4 mana, every colour except white. It's a 5/4 with trample, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, as you cast spells from your hand this turn, they gain Cascade. Very, very good commander. Because our opponent controls more lands than us, we are going to get to search our library for up to 3 basic lands. So we'll grab 3 planes there, just to thin out our library. And as is always the case, when you search for 3 basic lands with land tax, you end up drawing a land. Oh, and I didn't play the Emeria the Sky Ruin. Ugh. Well, our opponent's ramping like crazy. They can get down their commander next turn if they want to. Definitely going to go for some more basics. I do not want to be drawing into basics this game. I mean, does it matter if we get down the Benalish Marshal? We'll just go for it. It puts 1 more power onto our commander and might make it more able to block. Emeria the Sky Ruin, for anyone who doesn't know, comes in tapped. It taps for white, and at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 7 or more planes, you may return a target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And yeah, definitely not in a rush to get down the Maelstrom Wielder. They just want to go for ramp. Let's continue to thin out our library. Plenty of times I've used land tax to strip my library completely of basics. And guess what? We drew into a basic, because why wouldn't we? We don't have anything to do now, so we'll just get down Emeria. And we'll swing in with the Benelish Marshal. Don't really care about our opponent swinging back with an Oracle of Muldiah. I'll just have to hope that they don't get a Sword of Feast and Famine. I'm going to hold priority here because the Stonecloaker can come down and bounce the Benelish Marshal back to our hand. I think instead of Oketra, depends on what our opponent does, but maybe instead of Oketra we'll go for Gauntlet of Power. Actually, in that case it might be worth going for Oketra so that we can block that thing. They scry a Sol Ring onto the top and then decide to tap out, so we know that they don't have anything at instant speed. Let's continue to strip basics from our library. Okay, a Cloudstone Curio allows us to have bouncing creatures shenanigans. Not too worried about that yet. Let's just get down our Oketra. That is a 4/7 thanks to the Benelish War Marshal, which is actually relevant in this instance because Yidris, as it stands now, cannot get their power through our God Eternal Oketra's toughness. So we'll just have to hope that they don't have Rancor or anything like that. And I think it might be Gauntlet of Power next turn, although I'm not 100% sure. We could go for Stonecloaker. Yeah, I'm not sure what we're doing yet. A Brass's Bounty. For each land you control, create a treasure token. That was 6 in this case. That makes me rather tempted to go for Austere Command next turn. But do we kill off our God Eternal Oketra or not? Okay, another land. This time it's a fetch. We'll just continue. In fact, we can go for Arid Mesa and strip yet another basic out of our library. Only got 5 left there, I think. Now then, we can either go for... We could Stonecloaker in response to our opponent removing the God Eternal Oketra and then double block. And then go for an Austere Command next turn. I'm just trying to think of the worst case scenario. Let's get down Cloudstone Curio. And then hold up the Stonecloaker. I'm just hoping our opponent only has... I mean, they only have 2 cards in hand, and I'm hoping that there's nothing too degenerate is going to come out of all those treasure tokens. Because if I'm going to use Austere Command, I'd like to get Yidris off the board. That looked like 2 lands off the top with Oracle of Muldiah. A Rexage probably goes after the Cloudstone Curio, which I'm not really particularly bothered about because we don't have a lot of creatures in hand. And if we're going to go for wiping artifacts, then we'd lose that anyway. So I'm actually fine seeing that. Still 2 cards in our opponent's hand. And all the mana in the world to do whatever they wish. Now then, pausing at the attack step, but deciding not to swing in with Yidris. That is fine with me. Let's get down the Stonecloaker. We get a black zombie, which we will keep after an Austere Command, actually. We're going to exile that Brass's Bounty, just as a nice little bonus for getting Stonecloaker down. And then we bounce the God Eternal Oketra back to our hand, and hope that our opponent doesn't have counter magic in hand. Because our plan here is to go for Austere Command on creatures with CMC 4 or greater and artifacts. They'll still have plenty of mana, but it'll get rid of Yidris and Oracle of Muldiah. Alright, Skull Clamp is pretty good. Definitely don't want to get that down before we go for Austere Command. We're a couple of turns away from Emeria the Sky Ruin becoming relevant. And our opponent was F6'd, so that is relevant. Let's go for Skull Clamp. Seems as though they don't have any kind of counter magic. Might as well swing in here and then get rid of some planes again. We can get down our 7th planes next turn, and then the turn after that start bringing creatures back. We don't actually have any creatures in the graveyard though. Let's see if this is just a Windmill Slam of Yidris. It sure is. 3 cards in hand for Yidris. And they're about to do something else. No, they're just tapping out. This is the least scary Yidris game I've played, to be honest. But we're at a little bit of a handicap because we're playing God Eternal Oketra. It's not the best general that anyone has ever played. Let's get down our 7th planes, and now we need to remember that we can get down another creature into play from the graveyard next turn if we want to. Let's get down Gauntlet of Power. Obviously going to name white with that. And then we can go God Eternal Oketra. And what creature is most likely to die? I think we actually put the clamp on the God Eternal Oketra. And then when it dies, we may put it into our library, so we actually don't want to do that. We need to remember to have it die if our opponent decides to swing him. Let's just go in with these things. And do we care about losing the Benelish War Marshal? Yeah, we'll just leave it like that. They can block the Zombie Warrior if they want to, but they'll lose a creature for doing that. Sword of the Animist, I've just realised, is absolutely useless to us now because we have not got any basics left in the library. It'll at least give something +1/+1. Is that worth 4 mana to us though? Massacre Girl. Haven't seen this played yet. Menace, 4/4. 5 mana in mono black. Jolt is going to build a deck of this apparently. Whenever it enters the battlefield, each other creature gets -1/-1 until the end of the turn. Whenever a creature dies this turn, each creature other than Massacre Girl gets -1/-1. So, Reclamation Sage is going to die. I don't think it will kill anything else though. Let's just set this to go to the graveyard just in case. It'll definitely kill Reclamation Sage. And then everything else gets -1/-1 again. And it won't kill anything else, so... yeah, not all that worried about that Massacre Girl, to be honest. Really, really good if there's a load of tokens in play. What all they've done there really is weaken their own Yidris. Let's throw everything in the way of that Yidris. I'm worried about them buffing its power somehow, so they can kill something of ours if they want to. Either our Lord or the zombie token. And a Putrefy onto the Lord, yeah, so they were looking to get some trample damage through there. We'll just get the Benelish War Marshal back. And then that's -1/-1 on everything again. Actually starting to change my tune on this Massacre Girl. But they ended up killing their own commander. Something else has died. And they're not quite going to get rid of our commander there. But we get to see the power of Massacre Girl. Do they have a lightning bolt? Nope, they're just tapping out again. So let's use our Emeria the Sky Ruin to get Benelish War Marshal back. We'll say no to land tax. And definitely yes to Emeria the Sky Ruin. We were going to draw into a Blade Splicer, yeah, so that was going to be a 3/3 Golem token with First Strike and a Zombie token. We would have gotten back our Stone Cloaker. When this enters the battlefield, we return a creature we control to its owner's hand. Would have bounced the Blade Splicer and then got on another Golem token into play. So, didn't really get to see Yidris go off there. You tend to see lots of instants and sorceries and storm cards and things like that. But we at least got to hold our own with God Eternal Oketra. And we got to see a little glimpse at how powerful Massacre Girl is. I underestimated her for a second there. She managed to get rid of a lot of our creatures. Hopefully you all enjoyed that Oketra game and tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.